What's going on, guys? It's Jeff. I would have gone over this yesterday as well, but I had the whole state of play thing happen and everything, and it already happened late. So they released a blog update here that talked about all of the changes that they're going to have to the full game, the road to the launch. We're extremely grateful to all of you who spent time with us in the game, and for those of you who shared your feedback. I made a whole video with my feedback and stuff like that. Don't know how much of it is considered, but also you can go back and find it on my channel if you haven't seen that. Talking about a bunch of positives, bunch of negatives. Overall, I really don't have anything but good things to say about the game this time around in terms of its design. And some of the main complaints that I see from other people, I don't really have the same complaints. So the upcoming maps, while our selection of 8 total maps in the beta trended smaller inside and included some strike maps, playable 2v2 up to 6v6, we recently shared that the majority of our 12-core 6v6 maps at launch are medium size. And this is where people had some of those takes about how Chipman has brain rotted our community and other stuff like that, but I just don't really see it that way. I'm not saying there's no place for larger maps in the game or that they couldn't release some of them in the future or something like that. But again, with map voting and everything, 9 times out of 10, the large map is not beating the smaller map. And again, to clarify, just because it doesn't win all of those votes or whatever, does not necessarily mean that they shouldn't be in the game. But at the moment, most, if not all, maps are small, medium size. There are no large maps. If we look at it from the perspective of what we currently have, there will still be like medium sized maps that might be a little bit larger than the other ones. So then we could end up classifying it as a large map in relation to the other one. So for example, we got Vault right here. Now I can see that this map, this definitely seems very straightforward, pretty symmetrical on both sides. A little different. This one seems to have like a perch or something. Maybe the building is just shaped differently, more circular. Outside, visually, looks pretty good. 6v6 core map. Then we got Protocol. This is a map that you could play if you manage to get in private match. We've seen a whole bunch of gameplay on this. Looking at the TAC map right here, if I look at this in size in relation to like what I'm seeing on like the map itself and how quickly I've seen people run directly across the map, I feel like in a full TAC sprint, you could probably run from this side of the map to this side of the map in like 20 seconds. I would consider this one medium as well, but again, it's really hard to tell looking at it just from that way. Now here, Lowtown, this looks like more of a medium-sized map. I haven't seen this map whatsoever. Generally small area here with a bridge connecting into a building and stuff like that. Bunch is going to be happening here. It seems like the center of like all of these maps are probably going to be the busiest areas. That tends to be the way that it works anyway. We can probably enter the building over here to go around the side. Same thing with this side. This side has more water than the other, but this side also seems to have a little bit of a larger building in the middle, as opposed to just this regular one here. And then we got this map right here, Red Car. I have a feeling I'm not gonna like this map from the way that it's laid out. So you got like this big open street here, but then you also have like a building that stretches around the corner of it. I don't usually like the layouts of these maps, just the way that they play. It just doesn't really flow that well to me, in my opinion. Even though it's 3-lane, I don't like the long maps. People play them very annoyingly. But again, the game hasn't, I haven't seen a map that's really like that yet, so we're bound to have a couple of them in the game. Got Verkuda, which seems pretty cool. Seems pretty small. This circular thing right here is, I assume, this. We got the building right here that's right there on the TAC map. This small little watchtower that's right here. So we're right here on the map. So behind us, there's a whole spawn side, and then we're looking over onto their spawn, where it's mostly one big building with a watchtower and another smaller building. Then it looks like going from here, you can maybe go underground or something to make it into the building on this side. Maybe even climb up as well. Got Subsonic. This is the one where people were like, wait, this might be like Babylon. It might be. I've seen gameplay on this map before, and it's definitely a small map. So, I mean, me personally, I'm happy that the maps are on the smaller side just from doing like a lot of the camo grinds and stuff. And so long as the challenges don't, I don't know, conflict with how the maps are, it shouldn't be too big of an issue. But I'm excited for this map next to Babylon. Nuketown will come at some time. Got Payback here, which I think this is the main hub for the campaign. They said that you're off in some like manor in a mountainside somewhere that used to be some headquarters. I got that as a multiplayer map, which is pretty cool. Nice medium-sized map. It doesn't seem too bad. Big semi-intricate building with a bunch of rooms. Then we got Warhead, which is actually a destroyed Nuketown, now that I'm looking at it. And wow, holy shit, there's like nothing on the map. I have no complaints. I am completely fine with this. So these are all the new maps. It's pretty cool. Spawns. Players may have noticed improvements in spawn logic throughout weekend 2 of the beta, and as new content comes into the game and we collect even more data, we're always assessing our spawn system, and we'll continue to make necessary updates. Now that we have 2 weeks worth of player data, we already made big strides in dialing in our spawn logic and identifying and resolving issues within the spawn system across the game for launch. That could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. They say it improves, but you never really know how it'll go in practice. People can find something, and then, you know, once everybody sees it on social media, if somebody spawn killing somebody or whatever, there's gonna be outcry and shit. Personally, I would rather a game that makes more sense. Although personally, I'm under the belief of like the old spawn system, where if you figure out how the spawn system works in its entirety, and you and your team team are able to control specific points on the map to force them to spawn in a certain location on the map, and you farm them there, I don't see any issue with that. It's like 50% gunfights, 50% controlling spawn/objective spawn. You should be rewarded for understanding how to do so, but it shouldn't be a thing that you could do, say, single-handedly or whatever. Obviously, there's a limit to it. If you and a whole team coordinate to be able to take advantage and understand and control a spawn system, that is just part of game knowledge. It's not exploiting or something. As opposed to the system where, you know, they don't make any sense and the spawns are much more erratic, which hurts the overall flow of the multiplayer experience in general, no matter what map you're on. It needs to make sense. There needs to be clear boundaries of what is and isn't going to break a spawn, where is everybody looking, how many players need to be looking there, how many players can be present before the game starts flipping. Because spawns that are too easy to flip, again, like I said, destroys the entire flow of the map, makes domination and other game modes completely unplayable. Some performance adjustments, some areas where we've made progress on performance include resolving general script errors, issues related to UI, as well as overall improvements and fixes to asset streaming. That might help with the packet burst. I'm hoping maybe they'll mention it somewhere in here. Yeah, turned all the way down, the game still looks good and doesn't look like mush. I think fidelity wise, it looks really good. And I got pretty good performance when I turned everything down as far as I could, on top of making the general adjustments within the files themselves. Weapon adjustments, headshot damage. This is interesting. So in this game, headshots do not reduce the time to kill. They take more damage, but it doesn't technically do enough bonus damage to where they are going to be killed in one bullet less, with multiple shots anyway. So before in Call of Duty, you would be in the middle of a gunfight with people. Randomly, you would end up losing gunfights, and the gunfights would feel really, really random and just not consistent. One time you'll get into a fight and you feel like you can tank multiple shots. Other fights you just feel like you die instantly. There are other times where you shoot first and then you still manage to lose even though you hit every shot. That's because of the flinch in the game along with the headshot multiplier, making it kind of random. If I'm shooting somebody first and then they start shooting at me and react just a second later, a quarter of a second later, I could be shooting that guy and the flinch will then flinch their weapon up into my head, which decreases the time to kill, and then I get killed faster because I shot him first and he accidentally hit me in the face. So they set out to kind of alleviate that a little bit to help eliminate the randomness and the inconsistencies in the TTK, because no one likes losing gunfights they feel like they should have been winning. A common piece of feedback we saw was that low headshot damage reduced the impact of skillful play and made it difficult to challenge certain power positions. That is true. We agree with these points and are working on adjustments to many weapons to reward those who land multiple headshots during an engagement. See how they say multiple? So it seems like there might be a damage adjustment in terms of like the weapons, but they're not actually hitting the multiplier itself. That said, we don't want the hit location multipliers to significantly affect the consistency of time to kill. Yeah, exactly. So we'll continue to monitor the effectiveness. Okay, so they're not changing anything yet. Okay, yeah, one thing I was gonna say, one way to go against this whole thing. So if you're on a head glitch and now the headshots that they can only hit you with do less damage now, it makes those power positions even more powerful is what they're saying. So the next best thing that I can think of is if they make bullet penetration more consistent on the stronger spots. So if there's a stronger location to be able to stand on the map, like that one satellite on that map that you can't wallbang whatsoever, if they made it so you could wallbang it easily and it'll still do damage, then it weakens that power position, which is okay. Bullet penetration is another system that will be improving for launch. In general, players should notice fewer extreme cases of bullets doing far too much damage through certain surfaces. Oh, okay, I didn't even realize that was happening. While also not penetrating as expected through others. Those pesky snipers behind the radar dish on Scud. Yep, that is the head glitch that everybody references. So they're making it sound like that will definitely be wallbangable now. Improvements to fluidity of sniper ADS, that's one of my feedback things, where it just kind of, the way that it came in was just kind of off and weird. I don't know how else to explain it. It's difficult to explain, but I feel like I explained it a little bit more in detail in my other video that I was talking about earlier. Improve fluidity when swapping weapons during sprint and tac sprint. We're excited about this one. They have this extra thing to say that they're excited about it. I don't think I even mentioned anything about the weapon swapping. I might have mentioned that it was a little slow, but we'll see how this feels. Reduction of weapon motion during crouch transitions. I mean, I think reduction of weapon motion in general is a good way to go. Small lift to shotguns and targeted adjustments across all weapons to keep SMGs from overperforming relative to their other class. So snipers should feel a little bit better. More fluid weapon swap, whatever that means. Maybe feels less cumbersome or janky whenever you're swapping over. Maybe it just looks better, who knows. Weapon motion motion reduction when you're crouching, and then a shotgun buff. Shotgun buff and then some SMG nerfs, I'm going to assume. A couple of the SMGs would just straight up beat AR. Weapon balance will be an ongoing process, yeah. Movement updates, continued improvements to animation fluidity and fidelity throughout. We identified several areas for improvement to our third-person animation fidelity across slide, dive, jump, and supine prone. Our goal is that what you are seeing in first person is representative of what others see in third person, yeah. So they're talking about the situations where players would be able to do the new movement tech where they would run up and they would slide cancel, and then when they go to slide cancel, before they cancel, they would hold back where they would go into the back prone, and then they would also like jump at the same time, so you would end up having this animation where it looks like somebody is sliding, they appear on the ground, then they're up in the air. Very, very crazy shit. They're gonna try to make it a little bit more representative of what it looks like in first person. That doesn't necessarily mean that they'll be successful at that. There might be other ways and other things to do and link them together or whatever, so long as they don't make the game feel bad, because the movement is one of the best aspects of the whole thing. Now, in terms of like the third person animations, I'm completely fine with them adjusting those, but the feel is very, very important. Now, there may be a case where the third person now is much easier to hit, which is probably the goal, which might make a lot of those like little movement text and stuff a little less powerful, but we'll see. Adjustments for slide is improved predictability and fluidity. So they made some adjustments to the slide. Winner circle adjustment, shorten overall duration of winner circle, good. Lasts way too long. To reduce emote spam, players in the winner circle will now only be able to activate one emote. There's no reason to need to spam it, it's just completely inflammatory. It wasn't a big issue to me that it was in the game. Improvements to fidelity and lighting. They added a kill counter in the game, so now whenever you get a kill counter will pop up on the bottom to let you know what kind of streak you're on. This is really nice for editing things as well, whenever you're editing a streak together or anything like that. Super nice. Reducing overall camera motion for sprint, tack, sprint, and slide, good. Adjustments to kill order, I don't care, I'm never playing that mode again. Sleeper agent, remove the time added when earning eliminations while sleeper agent is active. So a sleeper agent nerf caused way too many issues. It would refresh and add more time to a sleeper agent whenever you got kills, and I guess they saw that as way too powerful. So now it only lasts a set amount of time. Stim shot has now been changed from an inventory base to cooldown base by default. Cool. Quartermaster decreases the cooldown of it. Resolved an issue where combat axe would not deal lethal damage at round start. Yeah, I remember seeing a clip of that where people were throwing them at the start of the game and they were getting hit markers with the combat axe. In a game where you guys have the theater mode, and again, everybody use the theater mode. If we want this feature to be in these games, they need to be used. That's in content creation, in feedback, and all the clips that you post. Use the theater mode. Wouldn't be a Black Ops game if you can't hit those cross maps at the start. Yeah, exactly. Some perk adjustments. Assassin and Bruiser move from perk 1 to perk 2. Dexterity and Gung Ho move from perk 2 to perk 1. Overall, seems like a just general nerf to Enforcer, where in order to get the bonus for Enforcer, you can't have like a specific combo that probably the amount of people were using overwhelmingly, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, I mean, these all sound like good things to me. Their adjustments could be bad or just not very good or just seem like they didn't change it all. You never know. I mean, we've been through many updates over the years, some of them good, some of them bad, but overall, I'm excited for the game. Nothing in here is making me go, uh-oh. Other than maybe some of these adjustments to movement, but it's not necessarily nerfs. If we get the game and it feels like shit movement-wise, they're talking about movement, I'm gonna start a movement. So Treyarch, be very careful with what you're doing with the movement. I'm just warning you.